Hey creators, Smiles here. I hope you enjoyed this following video. It was a typical day in the life of a solar installer. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do for this solar job is to find our rafters to put our mounts in. So Matthew here is gonna hold his tape measure up to the rafters. I'm gonna mark them with a chalk. Yep. This one. Okay.
It gets welded together using hot air. See, this is one section. Here's another section. It's welded down to it. We don't typically work on this kind of stuff. It'll take a roofer. See that you've got the flashing. This is a pre-made flashing that was put on by the roofers. Here's another pre-made flashing. If we were to put one of those on every mount, it would be pretty much hideous. Typically we get a roofer to make them, and they'll look like this. Costs about $100 a piece.
Okay.
So yeah, so we're going to use these ChemCurb weights here on top of Pro Solar stanchions. We've got we have these little blocks here at home. We're going to be bringing those tomorrow.
Okay.
All we got to do today is get the mounts on.
Cool.
Comes back through this transfer switch, charges that battery, and then when the battery's full, it goes back on the utility grid. I don't know what he's got going on here, what kind of options they got, because I never tested that. Somehow he should be able to. Okay, so we're gonna have to put the red. See, we get a 20 here, and that'll get those two. We'll get another 20 for our solar here, and we'll move this one down here if it's long enough.
All right, the next step to the job is to get the parts delivered to us. So the part guy is pulling up right now, and he's gonna drop off some of the parts we're gonna use today. So got all our modules there and our racks, and this is an Enphase system, so that's what we're gonna do. Okay, now we're move the modules back, carry them back to the side of the house. The modules weigh about 45 pounds, so they're not light, but they're not too heavy, but they're not too light. After time, start to feel it. It's a good workout. All right, next thing we do is bring everything up on the roof. Here with this membrane roof, we have to put our mounts like this. So we have this, but we're gonna have to see if our mounts fit in this hole. So reading the instructions, never a bad idea. These are kind of funky. Looks like you just put a lot of glue in this whole cup.
Okay, go ahead and push down.
Now we're putting bolts down everywhere we're gonna put a mount. Too short. Alright, so we're putting the mounts in. We're actually gonna have to make a hinge with these L feet. Our glue isn't totally dry, but we're still gonna hit it. So it's gonna hinge up on the bottom and top, and it's gonna create a nice plane for both these arrays of modules to soak in the sun. Okay, so we started working, and we put the rail in like this, and we put all our L feet on the mounts. Then we attached our rail, and then we attached our inverters to the rail with this Enphase system. And we're gonna zip tie and put our junction box on. Then we're gonna put this other rail on tomorrow with the tilt system, and then we'll put our modules in. Alrighty, so we're done with our day one of this roof, this membrane roof, and we started out finding the rafters, and then we glued our stanchions down, made these little cups, put our mount in, filled it with glue. It's gonna dry. We actually put this rail on. Now you see right here like that with our mount, with our swivel, and all of our inverters on. So this is what it looks like when a rail is done, zip tied and ready for solar. For modules with this other rail, we're gonna stand it up, and then that's pretty much what half a day in a solar installer job looks like. Half a day to a full day. So it's ready for modules. Tomorrow we're gonna lump them up here, connect them, and then we're gonna connect it to our junction box that we made and run our conduit down to the panel. All right, see you tomorrow. All right, and so this isn't exactly the roof that we're working on today, but I just wanted to show you this roof here and back. It's actually a Tesla roof, and it's just one big solar panel in a way. So like, yeah, all that is just getting the sun. You can see it kind of shimmering. It's a little iridescent, that silicon. Instead of the mods that we're installing, some people just installed solar roofs. Every shingle is a solar panel. Interesting. So there's a little Tesla roof for you. All right, and I just keep driving down the street and seeing more examples of solar. So here we are at Mountain View High School in California, and look at these ground mount solars system that they have on their in front of their parking lot. But just a nice cool example down the road, another good use for parking lots. All right, here we are back on the roof, day two. We've cut our rail, and now we've made the piece here to make it a little bit tilt kit. Made the tilt kit piece, cutting aluminum, drilling holes, and now we're putting a nut on each to attach it to the rail to make this module tilt, the solar array tilt. This is called a tilt kit. All right, so this is how we attach our rail. Have the tilt kit right here, put a bolt through it, and we just swivel it up when we're done down the line. All right, so we've put our other rail on down here. You could check it out right there. It's all tilted nice. Now we're gonna lump the modules up on the roof, and then we're gonna lump them up one by one, plug them in, install them, and then do the conduit run. And so these are the Enphase module. This is an Enphase system, so these are inverters on the rail. So we're gonna have an AC conduit run as opposed to a DC conduit run if we're using a Solar Edge system. All right, let's get some mods. All right, so on my junction box, I'm gonna attach it to this rail. I'm gonna use this bolt to do it. So it's gonna look like this. And we're gonna do it outside, right on the inside of this array. The junction box connects our PV wires with our AC wires in this case that plug into our sub panel. The PV wires connect to all the modules. The junction box keeps them all nice and snug and safe connected. So we're gonna, in this case, sometimes we just drill our junction box into the rail. This time we have this bolt we're gonna put right in the rail. So we're gonna have to drill a hole through our junction box to put the bolt in like that. We're gonna use our cone bit to make a 3/8 inch hole through the box, and the box is just gonna sit nice on the rail like this. And there's Matt lugging some modules up, ready for our first mod. Alright, so we got 2 modules in, and this is the way we do it. We just keep bringing them, putting the inner module clamps in, these little guys, and the first 2 are the most important. The first one and the second one, to make sure all stays straight, no curves. We take measurements to make sure it's coming up straight, and this is how we install the solar panels. So on this house, every house is different. We do mainly residential, and so they already had an existing array, so we're adding on another array to this system. So usually we have 3 men. One man lumps the modules up, another man catches, another man sits inside the rails and installs them. Alright, so here's a little time-lapse video when we were installing the modules. It was a little different because Matthew was at the bottom and I was just working without a second catcher or helper, and they're my buddies coming up now, but it can be done with one person too. And yep, so this is pretty much the process. Lump them up, plug them in, put the inner module clamps, make sure the alignment's all good, and slowly but surely move down the line. If it's all working good, it can be a quick process. Just the actual install of the module itself, once the rail's all made and it's ready for the modules. So that was the install right there. All right, so what we're doing now is we're gonna run the wires up through our conduit to eventually attach to the junction box that we built to attach to our array, and this end is going to attach to the sub panel right here. So we have our 3 wires, red, black, and green, and we're going to run them up through this conduit now. One man's going to feed them through, the other man's going to catch them up top at the pole and elbow. So this is how it's done. It's on a nice racketeer, and we just tape them like this so they all stay together. We cut the tape and we start running them up. We tape the wires. We leave a little flag for our friend up there to take off the tape with. Now we can just start putting them in our hole up here, and we're gonna feed them all the way up to the roof, just like this, slowly but surely. So the wire comes down right here through this conduit and up through the roof penetration. Let's go see if it made it. Okay, so there's our wire sticking out that we ran. Now we're gonna put this other side in this other hole, just like that. And we're gonna keep feeding it all the way to the array. Alright, so we have our fish tape here. Sometimes gotta use some fish tape to coax the wire a little bit and feed it in from the other side. So we tape the fish tape to the wires we're using like this, and then pull it back through and catch it on the other side. Alright, so we had to use our fish tape to get the wires, but now they're in the junction box. And now we have to complete the junction box by joining the wires from the PV array to the wires that connect to the sub panel. So we're going to join them with some Wagos, some wire nuts, and we're going to ground the wire to the rail with a pigtail, and then we'll put the lid back on and put the final module right here. And after that, the PV array will be connected to the sub panel. We turn the sub panel on, connect it to the main panel. They'll be feeding back and producing solar power. So I'm going to complete the junction box now. So this is the PV wires that connect all the modules, and we're going to strip them back like this with a knife, and then strip them and connect them to our sub panel wires with these connectors, these Wagos, and this wire nut for the grounding with our pigtail. So that's what we're gonna do. So when connecting these wires in this junction box, leave about 6 inches from the box to connect them, cut them right there. That way there will be a service loop when we put them back in the box to work on them. All right, so we have the wires connected and it's ground to the rail and below, and now we're just gonna wrap these up, put them in our box. Put the lid back on, put this lid on, put a sticker on it. All right, so we're done. Our conduit coming through and our array installed. Looks nice. So we're on to the next one, just like that. One roof at a time. Star Power.